How we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. I hope you're doing well wherever you are watching this. Spring has finally sprung in the UK, and when the sun is out, I'm always in the mood for a bit of thrash. So let's do a retrospective of thrash metal legends, Exodus, who many consider should be the big five when it comes to the big four. I'll let you have that row in the comments. Let me know what you think. Where do we start with Exodus? I mean, they are one of the classic thrash bands. Obviously, you have the big four, but I'd still say they were in the top tier of thrash metal bands. And obviously, Gary Holt is now getting his flowers later on in his career, really. He's been plugging away in Exodus, and then obviously when he joined Slayer, and that massively upped his profile. But with Rob Dukes as well rejoining the band, it made me want to go through the catalogue, and I should have covered Exodus a bit more as this channel's gone on. I don't know why. I've covered them here and there, but yeah, this has been on the list for ages to do a retrospective. So I thought, yeah, now's a good time to do it. So this is going to be part one. So this is part one of two. I'm going to do the band's first initial run tonight. So we'll be covering the first 5 albums up until about... Well, the band actually formed in 1979, and we're going to be covering that up until 1997, I believe. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. So where do we start with Exodus? I mean, yeah, they are one of the cornerstone thrash bands. And it's funny with Exodus, they're kind of... I think some parts... They're both overrated and underrated at the same time. What they're most known for is actually, I think, one of their weakest points. And I think their catalogue is a lot more varied than it gets credit for, a lot more technical than it gets credit for. And I think Gary Holt is a phenomenal guitarist and songwriter. And it's a shame Slayer didn't use him more. To be honest with you, I think they could have got any guitarist, any shredder that could have played the songs, as close to perfect as possible, and could have, done a load of great solos over the tops as well. So, if you're going to get Gary Holt, though, I think they could have used him a bit better. But let's go back to the beginning. Formed in 1979, and originally Kirk Hammett formed the band, and he led the band for a bunch of different lineups from about 1979 up until about 1981. So 1981 is where Gary jumps on board, and this is also where Paul Bailoff jumps on board as well. Their first demo was in 1982. That had Kirk Hammett on it, and I think he did one or two demos. He did the 1982 demo. Let's have a look. 3 songs: Whipping Queen, Death and Domination, and Warlords. And then they did the Die by His Hand single. Was a cassette, another demo really. And Kirk Hammett was on that as well. Then obviously Kirk Hammett jumped ship to Metallica, and the band carried on with Rick Hunolt. So the classic lineup comes about in 1983 with Paul Bailoff, legendary character, on vocals. Gary Holt takes the lead as songwriter. Although I think at the beginning it was a bit more of a mixed bag, but he's the member that stayed throughout the band. He's the only member that's been on every single album. Some members have come and gone over the years, but Gary Holt has been the consistent member all the way through, and has by default become chief songwriter. Rick Hunolt on guitar, also another well-respected guitarist in the thrash metal scene. Many consider, the band not quite ever recovering from him leaving. Again, I'd let you have that discussion in the comments section. And then Rick McKillop on bass and Tom Hunting on drums. And they started doing a string of demos from 1983 onwards, playing around the San Francisco Bay Area. Obviously a massive thrash scene there. The first big thing they did, though, was actually the Combat Live Ultimate Revenge Tour with Slayer and Venom, which was released as a video. And I've got a bootleg CD here. I got this on Hell's Headbangers a few years back. Really good recordings from all three bands. This one as well has got some interviews on it as well. I say I picked that up years ago from Hell's Headbangers. I don't know if it's still available, but it's really good. I mean, I'm wondering if it's just the video. I don't know if the video ever got released on DVD, but I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube somewhere. There's another one as well with the Ultimate Revenge Tour. Didn't Dark Angel do that as well with Death? Is that the same thing? But yeah, listen to this today. Really good recording, full of energy. Check that out if you can. And then in 1985, the band released their debut album, although it was delayed by a year. And I can't quite remember why, but yeah, the album was recorded in 1984 and didn't actually come out till 1985. But there's an argument that Exodus would have been at the forefront when it comes to thrash, not Metallica. And in terms of, I don't think anyone's, you can argue all day over who invented thrash. But Gary said that didn't really affect things because by the time the album was released, everyone had heard it anyway because it was doing all right in the tape trading scene. But yeah, anyway, 1985, the band released their classic debut, Bonded by Blood. What can I say about this album that hasn't been said a million times? It's one of the cornerstone thrash albums, and it is a classic. It is just raw energy all the way through. 40 minutes of just white heat intensity. It does get a little bit of a bashing now and then for Paul Bailoff's vocals and the production. And there is a live album that we'll talk about later where these songs do sound better. I would agree that they do sound better on the live recording. I do prefer it. But I think you just got to take this for what it is, and all its little all its little roughness and imperfections just makes it what it is, because it feels like the band is playing live. Excuse me. And yeah, it's just a fun album. It's riffs, left, right, and centre, pounding drums. Paul Bailoff's crazy vocals. I mean, he was such a wild character as well. You hear of any live recordings of him, he was kind of like he was the John Belushi of metal. And the guy lived it up until the day he died. And yeah, he was certainly a character. But look, you go on any, look into any magazine, go on any website, go on any YouTube thing, the top 10 thrash metal albums, this is going to be in the top 5. You can argue all day about number 1. You are not going to do a top 10 thrash without mentioning this. And rightfully so. It's every song on it is brilliant. You've got, I think Metal Command is an underrated one for me, but A Lesson in Violence, Then There Were None. No Love has even got a bit of an acoustic intro, so it's not like Rain in Blood where it's just 20 minutes, just all the way through. But it does rival it for sure. And yeah, you all know it. If you don't know it, this is the one to start with. Absolutely, you need this in your collection. And then I think now is where things. It's funny because I wouldn't say this is an overrated album, but it is a shame that to many this is Exodus's only album. And there's it's a blessing and a curse. Oh, shit. It's a blessing and a curse because not everyone gets to make a hit. It's kind of like Motorhead with Ace of Spades or something like that. But it is what it is. But I think the band do get more interesting as they go on. But they start firing from all cylinders because, yeah, it's just a perfect album, basically. Yeah, that's all pretty much I've got to say about that one. So let's move on then. Paul Bailoff eventually was kicked out of the band. I think he was a bit too wild. And I think although he was a great front man, I don't think he was very good at performing in the studio. And I think going forward they wanted someone a bit more consistent, a bit more reliable, and a bit more, dare I say it, professional. So enter Steve Zetro Souza, who was originally from Legacy, who would then go on to become Testament. But if you oh, where is it? Bear with me one sec. There you go. So, yeah, Steve was originally in Legacy and did the first demos with them, but he jumped ship and joined Exodus. Legacy carried on and renamed themselves Testament with Chuck Billy on vocals, and we'll be covering them in another retrospective soon. So, yeah, in 1987, we get Pleasures of the Flesh. I've got these editions of Pleasures of the Flesh and Fabulous Disaster. I think these come out, I think 2008. There you go. So that's the standard front cover. But I do wonder. Yes, it does. Yeah, this was originally the front cover, and for some reason it got banned. I don't know why, but yeah, I might swap it round for tonight. There you go. So, yeah, this one, with Bonded by Blood being just this burst of energy, this one is a bit more focused, shall I say. Seems like they've, rather than just playing as fast as they can and just letting everything out, this one feels like they've sat back and just thought about things for a bit. But it don't make it any less frantic. Deranged, is it Deranged the first one? Yeah, Deranged is the opening one. That's a bit kind of technical, and it's got this like it's straight away from listening to that song. The production's got a lot more like sort of crispness to it. Who produced this? This was produced by Mike Ciesanek, and the last one was produced by Mark Whitaker, who produced the first two Metallica albums, as well as Laz Rocket's No Stranger to Danger. And yeah, this one, Mike Ciesanek, what's he done? Let's quickly go through it. Guillotine, Panic. Oh, Panic are a band from Brazil, if I remember correctly. Let's quickly have a look at this. Epidemic. No, I was completely wrong. There is a band from Brazil that called Panic, though. I'm sure of it. But yeah, let's get on with it anyway. So yeah, with Deranged, awesome album starter, and yeah, you can just tell that like the guitars have got more kick to them. They're a bit more. They're much more clear. The riffs have got more, punch to them, rather than just frantic shredding. And yeah, you can just tell that the band have got more focus and got a bit more maturity about them on this one. Till Death Do Us Part is awesome. It's got this atmospheric, it's dark, it's got this real sort of 80s. It's just got that 80s metal feel to it. Love that main riff and this sort of pushing rhythm to it. In fact, yeah, Till Death Do Us Part is one of my favourite Exodus songs. The more I think about Parasite, another thrashy. Got the chorus that coming down from behind. Yeah, Million Miles an Hour. They have the band, like I say, the band have got more focus and a better production on this, but the intensity is still there, but it's more sort of it's got more skill, should we say? And Brain Dead is another good track. Sort of like a heads down motorcycle metal of a song. The album's got it's more varied as well. You've got like a big theatrical intro to the title track, but yeah, overall this is a massive step up for the band, and part two really of the band's golden era. Yeah, Steve fits into the band as well, and takes the band forward, and I think he is the vocalist that the band needed to move forward, with all respect to Paul Bailoff. Next up in 1989, we got Fabulous Disaster, which is, I think this was like the big hit for the band. This was their best-selling album for the longest time. Anyway, I don't know if their later albums have outsold it, but let's see if there's anything good in here. Is that just the album cover? No. There's a poster in there. And yeah, this is just, you know, it's a fun album. It's got some goofiness about it, which we'll cover. But there's a few knickknacks about this album I don't like, but the good stuff far outweighs it and makes up for it. So yeah, let's get into it. So Lost Art of Defiance, classic song. Got that big hook with the chorus, with the coming of the tide. And yeah, it just hits the ground running. It's brilliant. Fabulous Disaster. You're not going to see Exodus and then not play Fabulous Disaster. Then smack bang with the Toxic Waltz, 2 classic songs. It's all about the pit. It's pure thrash metal. Just classic madness. Then, so you got 3 awesome songs open up. And then, like a bucket of water over a barbecue, we get a cover of Low Rider. And this is a bone of contention for me going forward. I think covers are Exodus's Achilles heel, and they're not shy of doing them. They do love a cover, and it's unnecessary, and they never pick songs that suit them. Yeah, Low Rider really does, it kills the momentum for me. But the band does come back with Cajun Hell, and this goes to show how much the band have grown as songwriters as well. This has got a cool sort of bluegrass intro. And I like the main melody running through it as well. Then we got songs like Father Like Son. Again, this shows that the band are maturing and growing as songwriters. Like Father Like Son. So you'll have a song like the Toxic Waltz. Now, thrash is sort of dividing up now as we go on. You've got bands like Slayer that are making it dark and serious. Then you've got like Anthrax that are a bit more, I don't want to say goofy, but a bit more. You got thrash bands that are a bit more tongue-in-cheek and a bit more fun and a bit more comic book when it comes to their artwork. Exodus sort of walked the line quite nicely, and obviously in the lower sort of tiers of thrash you would have more technical thrash. Exodus can compete with them as well, but a song like Father Like Son is a bit more serious and a bit darker. Phenomenal solo in it, but it's got a cool dark riff leading to the chorus as well. What else we got? We've got Corruption, really underrated song. I wish they'd bring that back to their live set. There is a live album around this time where they do play it, but I've not seen them playing it since. If they have, let me know in the comments if they played it recently. But a really good song. As is the one that follows it, actually. Corruption, Verbal Razors as well. Really good song. And then Open Season. The main riff, the opening riff to Open Season, sound no doubt nicked that for Just a Girl. Go on YouTube, get a 2 windows open. Open Season by Exodus, Just a Girl by No Doubt. Play the opening riff to both songs. And Overdose is a great album closer. There was a cover. Is it on this one? Must be this one then. No. Yes. On Pleasures of the Flesh, there's a live version of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. I just said that covers aren't Exodus's strong point, but when they cover AC/DC, they do pull it off. In fact, one of these actually has a proper, or is that on the next album? They do Overdose. Yeah, Overdose. That is the bloody AC/DC cover, isn't it? Yeah, but Open Season is the good album closer, but the actual official album closer is Overdose, and Overdose is an AC/DC cover, and it is really good. But it's a studio cover rather than live. That's where I got thrown off. So the first 3 albums pretty much. Let's keep these off for now, actually, so I can talk about them.
these 3 albums are the band's sort of golden era, really. And if you are new to the band, yeah, I'd get these. These are the first. That's the first one. Everyone needs that. If you only buy one Exodus album, well, no, I don't agree with that actually. But to most people, yeah, this is the album to get. Then get these 2, and then you've got the Golden Age covered. And then at this point, Tom Hunting leaves the band, and John Tempesta joins on drums. And the band signed to Capitol Records, and in 1990 they released the very underrated, in my opinion, Impact is Imminent. And yeah, this just sounds like a band firing from all cylinders, and this is a band that feels comfortable in their skin. The title track, Impact is Imminent, great opener, good thrashy song. The band recently opened with it, just pulled it out of the bag. They haven't played it for decades. And, well, I think it was with their previous tour. I think they did a short run of shows with Steve. And, yeah, they pulled this out of the hat. But hopefully they keep it going forward. But, yeah, great track. Then straight into AWOL. Phenomenal song. Like, yeah, now we're talking. It's just straight. It's a simple riff, and the drums underneath it. It's just kicking. Again, it's straightforward driving rhythm of it. Yeah, just opens with a 1-2 punch, but then straight into Lunatic Parade, which is a bit more of a mid-paced groove to it, but it's heavy and catchy. Gather all around, and yeah, just awesome stuff. And then straight into Within the Walls of Chaos. Great riffs on this one as well. Starts off with another sort of mid-paced groove, but then goes into this big hook, sort of in the style of Metallica. You know, like the way around the Black Album out by now? 1990. Yeah, it's around that. No, that might come later actually. Black Album, but you know that. No, that's not fucking. That's Anthrax, isn't it? The way they would do that, you know, dun, 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 or something like that. The way they would bring a stretcher riff out and then have like a choppy bit at the end. I don't know. The main riff of Within the Walls reminded me of Metallica, but it goes into this sort of odd timed riff, like a sort of thing. But it's a good song. Does it need to be 7 minutes long though? And this is another thing that we get with Exodus. They don't, and it only gets worse. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, another Achilles heel for Exodus. They don't quite know when to end a song or an album, for that matter. But again, we'll get to that later. But what's good is good. Objective Overruled. They did a video for it. Another good song. Heads they win, tails you lose. That's in my mouth there. Is another slower track, but it's really heavy and really dark and memorable. But again, does it have to be 7 minutes? But yeah, no, there's good songs on this, and overall, yeah, it's a really good album, and I think it's quite underrated actually in the Exodus canon. And then 1992, we get Force of Habit, and this is where things get a bit weird. Obviously, metal was in a funny place around this time. The musical landscape was starting to change, and they're not so much. They're still thrash on this, but they're not. It's not sort of like their main weapon. But it opens nicely with "Thorn in My Side." You know, it's not. You know, it's not shredding or anything like that. But it's still heavy, and you do get a bit more thrash on. Is it "Fuel for the Fire"? One Foot in the Grave. There's a great drumming intro on one of these songs from John Tempesta. John Tempesta's an underrated drummer, actually. His CV speaks for itself, but he always seems to be like the second choice. But he fills a role wherever he goes. But right, here's the problem with Force of Habit. Right, the album cover for a start. What even is that? Is it a parrot? I don't know. Is that the right? There's the eye. There's the beak. The mouth, tongue. But is it? I don't know. It just does it look like a thrash metal album? You know. and it does get written off by a lot of people. But I think this is it's. I don't want to say it's underrated because there is stuff wrong with this album. So, and it's a shame because there is really good material on this, and it's good. There's just too much of it. Right, this album is an hour and 8 minutes long. There's 2 covers on this album: "Bitch" by the Rolling Stones and "Pump It Up" by Elvis Costello. If you cut both of those covers off the album, it would still be over an hour long. And there's even an edition with 2 bonus tracks. I mean, it's. In fact, I've got those 2. This has got the bonus tracks. I didn't realise that. But yeah, it's just too long. It's just too long. And there's where is it? "Architect of Pain" in the middle of the album is 11 minutes long. And there's 2 songs, or is it 1? Yeah, there's another song that's 7 minutes long. It doesn't need to be that long, but it's a shame because there's really good stuff on here. So, opening up with "Thorn on My Side," that's a great song. "Me, Myself and I," really good song, really good, like sort of just a straightforward rocker. It's just a good metal song, and it's got a really good melodic solo in it as well. And tracks like "Fuel for Your Grave," "Fuel for Your Grave," "Fuel for the Fire," and then "One Foot in the Grave," 2 great songs. "Count Your Blessings" is another good song. "Good Day to Die" is phenomenal. Great, really good sort of 90s metal track, but it's got a bit of like a grungy feel to it, but in a good way. And it doesn't need to be this long. There's just too many songs. But it's not that any of it's bad. That's the problem as well. That's what's annoying about it. It just seriously needs trimming down. Get rid of the 2 covers. Get rid of "Architect of Pain." I'm sorry, that song does not need to be 11 minutes long. In fact, the fact that it's 11 minutes long is the most interesting thing about it. I'd get rid of that. And, yeah, get rid of that. And I'd make "Good Day to Die" to be the album closer, to be fair. Yeah, I would. I'd maybe put "Crawl Before You Walk" in, maybe. Yeah, I'd put "Crawl Before You Walk" where "Bitch" is, and then I'd finish it with, yeah, and I'd cut out "Architect of Pain" and just finish on "Good Day to Die." I think, yeah, with a good trim up and new artwork, there's a good album in here, folks. It's definitely worth checking out. Right, at this point, the band fizzle out, basically. So this is around 1993. Both of these albums flopped, to be blunt, and they should have been on tour. So do you remember the Thrash of the Titans tour? Famously, Dark Angel were the opening band, but they had a car crash, and one of them was injured. Can't remember which one. And then Alice in Chains jumped on board, and then that's how Alice in Chains got big. Well, Exodus were meant to be on that as well, and the label wouldn't put them on it. They're also meant to be on tour with Annihilator. That didn't go ahead. They were meant to be on tour with Judas Priest on the Painkiller tour. Pantera ended up getting that. So yeah, missed opportunities. And this tends to be regarded as like the low point of the band. Like when you see like a guide, like buying guides to the band, these 2 are normally at the bottom. And it's a shame. It's a shame because this is good stuff. Especially Impact is Imminent. And there is good stuff on here. You know, again, if you are new to Exodus, okay, yeah, buy these last, but buy them nonetheless. They are worth getting. I mean, look, trust me, if this is as bad as it gets, you're in good company. So, yeah, the band fizzle out at this point, and then they reform a few years later, and with Paul Bailoff back on vocals, and yeah, they put out Another Lesson in Violence. And yeah, I think they do a bit of touring. And yeah, when was this? This was recorded at the Forum, I think it is. Yeah, no, it's not. The Trocadero in San Francisco, March the 8th. And Andy Sneap produced this as well. Let me just double check the lineup. This is the original lineup. Yeah, Gary Holt, Paul Bailoff, Tom Hunting, Rick Hanolt. Oh, Jack Gibson is on bass. Right, remember that name going forward. So when Exodus split up. Gary and Tom formed another band. I want to Warmonger or something weird like that. Let's have a quickly look it up. I've got it here. Don't worry. War Dance, Warmonger. So Jack Gibson was the bass player in War Dance, and when Exodus reformed, the original bass player, whose name escapes me, bear with me one sec. He actually left after Impact is Imminent. Actually, the original bass player did the first 4 albums. Forgive me, I got ahead of myself. So they would have had a new bass player on this album. I'm terrible. Let's quickly look it up. Rick McKillop on bass. Yeah, so he did the first 4 albums. Left after Impact is Imminent, and apparently he was offered the reunion, but he didn't want to know. And apparently, yeah, he's retired from music now. Apparently, runs a business and is just living his life. Good luck to him. It was Mike Butler that did bass on the Force of Habit album. But yeah, so Gary and Tom go on and form War Dance, but then reform with the classic lineup with Jack Gibson on bass. And they put out one of the best thrash live albums out there. Paul Bailoff is on top form. The songs from Bonded by Blood sound awesome. And there's a couple of songs from Pleasures of the Flesh. I'll show you the proper album cover. Come on. Let's not mess about. Yeah, they do Pleasures of the Flesh and Brain Dead, which were on this album, but Paul Bailoff did write the lyrics. So he does those songs. And they also do a song called Impaler, which was from the time Kirk Hammett was in the band. And that song Impaler gets recorded on the next studio album. But we will cover that on the next episode. The bands do a bit of touring, do some high profile gigs. The momentum is going. They released this phenomenal live album, but for whatever reason, it kind of fizzled out again. And they reformed in 2002, I believe. But we'll talk about that when we come to it. So, yeah, we're at the end of part 1. The band did put out a live sort of mini album called Good Friendly Violent Fun. I've not got that album, and I've never read a good review of it, so I've never bothered. Although the set list, looking through it, did look pretty good, and that Corruption song that I mentioned earlier is played on it. But on these 2 editions, there is some live tracks as bonus tracks. Well, they're from the London Astoria, the greatest venue in the world, and criminally got knocked down to make way for a train station. The Mayor of London, and it wasn't our current mayor. The Mayor of London's always been a wanker, whoever has been in the position. But they knocked down the Astoria, and I'm thinking of running for London Mayor, and that'll just be my thing. I'm going to rebuild the Astoria, brick by brick. I'm going to go into the archives, find the blueprints, and rebuild the Astoria. I think I'll win just on that. But anyway, Exodus played the Astoria in 1989. Tracks from that were bonus tracks on these 2 albums, or these editions of those albums. The full show finally got released a year or 2 ago, and I did review this when it came out. And yeah, phenomenal album. And this is during the Fabulous Disaster Tour. So this is just a track list of the best of the first three albums, and it's awesome. So I'm going to stop ignoring this blurred. I'm going to wait for it to focus. And what's the point? I've finished. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, this is part 1 of Exodus. Part 2 will be coming soon, but I'm not doing it next. But yeah, I'll be covering the reunion and all the albums up to present day. And yeah, this is the easy bit, really. Next up, we've got a lot of material to cover and a lot of lineup changes to discuss. But yeah, if you are new to Exodus, check out what I've covered on here so far, and then join me for part 2. Again, just a quick buying guide. Exodus Bonded by Blood is a classic. You need it. Go get it. But check out the next 2 albums as well. Pleasure to Thrash is probably my favourite album, but Fabulous Disaster's got Exodus's best songs. This is the one with the hits. This is the big hit. Definitely give these 2 albums a second try though, if you do tend to write them off. This is an underrated gem, and this has got some hidden gems on it. It's worth a listen. It just needs trimming down. And then what else we got? Yeah, so if you can get hold of that, track it down, because all 3 bands are good on it. Slayer, when they were like in their early days as well. Yeah, worth getting hold of if you can find it. Definitely check that out. That's well worth getting. But this is phenomenal a phenomenal live album as well. So, yep. Thanks for watching, folks. Check out Exodus, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.